Okay, the understandings of this prophecy rock actually is known as life plan or path, Katsinoboti, that it does lay out of two paths that actually humanity has a choice on, either a description given for the top path referred to as the materialistic path, or the bottom one, which is the right path to follow, with certain predictions and previsions tied into it. But top path of materialism shows the people all unified. But if we continue of our ways of destruction, taking from the earth, or even the world leaders press the buttons for all the nuclear atomic missile heads, or the Ma Sao's description given as the gourd full of ash, destruction, doing away with humanity and the earth, and will be bits of particle dust in the endless space. But if we follow the right path and continue in the right manner of our life path that has been laid out, and if we do continue to the extent of the end days or judgment days, the leader or savior that is to come will be leading the exodus of people into the next level or next world. So it just all depends on how humanity helps to control of understandings with our humanity spirit and the people of this whole world. There'll be that continuance.
What do you think is the one factor that can get us living in balance with the earth again?
It's really not going to be one. It's going to be multiple understandings, and teachings are already out there and laid out. It's just that we need to understand or accept and pick up these teachings to have a little more thorough understanding, which we did veer off of the wrong path, so we can come back to those teachings. So there is a symbolical line connecting from the top materialistic path to the bottom to represent of convergence, that people can change their ways, and maybe for the betterment and the good of all humanity. So it's a collective of so many factors, but we have to, I guess, individually we are to be that change first, to maybe show up change within around the world, or give that influence of change to all mankind. Specifically, like the symbology of, say, like that star symbol above the circle. That would be part of the subject matter we were talking about earlier. About originally, it was to represent of a star. Actually, I'm kind of jumping into different spots of it, but traditionally, third world description, all the people were good-hearted, a one-heart people, pure heart, wanted to leave the third world because everybody was all in that chaos, corruptive state, evil negativity, witches and sorcerers. And so Ma Sao is the earth guardian or caretaker, which is the keeper of the element of fire, holding a torch. He is actually holding the reed plant that was successful to grow from the third world into the opening in the sky, where the ancestors mentioned they heard foot stomping, and it was made by Ma Sao, the earth guardian or caretaker that was already placed on the fourth realm of the world to live his life out of loneliness. So eventually, the star symbol that did guide the ancestors to our Hopi ancestors of Hisatsinum to this area that we take in as our center of the universe was an understanding. It was a two-star combination that gave a vibrance and brilliance of starlight on that night. But ironically, it is also a confirmation on the other side of the world that Ma Sao gave the description to Bahana that emerged on the fourth world, which is a description of white brother or white person, instructed Bahana to go as far east until the forehead touched the rising of the sun. And I would just state maybe that's a confirmation understanding what I do understand about the Hebrew culture people or the Jewish people, that in some aspects, I don't know when specifically, but I do understand in the description that they do have a circular disc with the symbol of the sun on there that they place on their forehead, and that will be a confirmation of the instructions given by Ma Sao that Bahana was to go as far east until his forehead touched the rising of the sun. And this star symbol actually would represent of the specific birth of the baby, that the men giving the gifts were guided by that star. So, in other words, that symbol of Star of David would be a symbol of a sun in a Hopi view, Hopi eyes. And the ancestral teachings to give that description of that symbolical star is that each triangle element to comprise of that Star of David symbol represented of each star that was in that double star combination, leading the men to give the gifts to the baby. So eventually, at that conversion time period of BC to AD, that was the descriptions given to lead the ancestors to this area. At that same time, that occurrence, or either that occurred on the east first, and then on this side of the earth, the ancestors were guided by that star, Hopi ancestors, to this particular location as our center of the universe. But then the elongation is that prediction of the Spanish Catholics to come, the people that were going to utilize this symbol as their religious symbol, representing of the crucifix of the Catholic religion. So in other words, when the Spanish did come down into this area from the east, fair-skinned or lighter-skinned, the Hopis from my village of Oraibi felt this was maybe the prophesied brother to return. So when the Spanish were meeting the Hopi villagers down at the foot of the mesa, the Hopis laid out the welcoming cornmeal path, extended their hand out because the brother is to do a distinctive handshake with the brother, but instead the Spanish placed that gold coin in the palm of the hand, which the ancestors were dumbfounded about that, but later that was the realization that this was the item, which was the description of the yellow metal, or specifically the gold, that the Spanish were looking for. The understandings of that descriptions given by the stories mentioned that there were 7 cities of gold, or Cibola, that they were looking for. So that was that understanding coming from the east. So we're still waiting for Vahana to return from the east, but it's given another confirmation by Masao that Masao inscripted symbols on stone tablets that he gave to certain Hopi clans, and one corner portion of one tablet was given to Bahana to do the confirmation act at that actual crucial point of time of the end days or judgment day. Bahana is to return, bringing back that missing corner portion. So that would be that confirmation of that symbology of that individual, the leader, savior, elder. We don't know specifically and exactly what time date these occurrences would happen, but when it is that time, and actually again, some certain church denominations that I guide, they would just make reference to that understandings in their teachings, mentioning the return, of the Savior, or Jesus Christ to come at that time point. So there's a lot of, again, similarities and parallels, found within a lot of the different religious world cultures teachings. And then the circle represents of cycles, but how did the ancestors know and understand this land or planet, the Earth, was round? But that's what it gave that description. But cycles, again, maybe not the global warming all in the chemicals, but again, the 1,000-year weather pattern of dry and drought conditions, are occurring again here in the Southwest. That did lead the ancestors to leave Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde, all the ancestral sites throughout the Southwest, to relocate as the modern present-day Hopi, Zuni, all the Pueblo cultures in New Mexico. We have oral histories that ties us with our ancestors throughout the Southwest. So Hopi name descriptions are given to all these sites in the Southwest. And with that understandings, materialistic path, there were 2 paths to follow. People are so unified, items that make life easier, they're so used to, but that's the description also given that each individual here, the first 3 represents of inventions, advancements in inventions, and technology for the 3rd one. Meaning that Vahana was also, Masao gave a description to the last individual that made it up, which was one of the witches or sorcerers, or termed as Two-Heart by Hopi, that this witch or sorcerer would aid Vahana. Masao told the last one to go with Vahana. So generally, we just mentioned the white people created all these different inventions. So the witch or sorcerer used his magic to help of the creation of inventions. And so Masao gave that description for him to go with Vahana. But the last and 3rd individual, the head is not centered. That's the individual that's in that contemplative state. Realization that this is not the path for him, that he can convert back down to the right path. And then the last third individual actually represents the technology, as I mentioned. It would be a description that actually technology is currently overpowering us. This third one that's centered here.
Okay, go on.
That the technology is overtaking or overpowering the people. So convergence, realization, you can come back to the right path that has been laid out. That is what I feel we are currently at that point. People are going back to the organic foods, all the traditional ancestral teachings, healing methods, medicinal roots and plants, original teachings, how to live off the earth and the land, how to respect it, give us something back if you're taking, but corporations, companies are not following those teachings, or basically individuals want to have maybe a little bit more thorough understanding of Native American teachings or indigenous teachings to understand and interact with the earth, of how we've been doing it for all these, thousands of years. So convergence, we are at that point, but circles that are depicted here, prophesizing of 3 world wars or fights. First one is fulfilled with a circle. There is a symbolical cane symbol in the middle of the first and second one. Cane symbol represents a chieftainship status, education or traditional knowledge carrying. So possibly the U.S. government after World War I studied of the enemy's ways or the Oriental teachings of China and Japan, or Japan specifically, to go into World War II. But again, the heeding from Ma Sao's message not to ever utilize this gourd full of ash, and that would have been that description given usage in World War II, where America used the bombings in Japan of Hiroshima and Nagasaki of those bombs. And then eventually the third one is not fulfilled, but again there is some symbologies on certain tablets that do confirm of maybe certain land, countries, or symbols on flags would be stirring up events. And currently what's happening with Syria, Turkey, and Israel. And again, Russia and China has an interest from each different, or was it China or North Korea? One of the different countries, but the 3 countries I feel would be of that more maybe communist following. Communist Russia, North Korea, and communist China. That would be part of a stirring up. But eventually what's happening with these 3 countries, Russia and China does have an interest in one of the other countries of each one, so they're still part of that link of that understanding. So eventually the elder or leader, savior that is to come, will come and lead the exodus of people into maybe to the next world, into the safe promised land. We really don't know the exact accurate descriptions of where we'll be going or where the leader is going to take us, but we do know it's going to be in another better place. But eventually a lot of people just feel spiritually that there's already that spiritual evolving already of understandings, but other people maybe feel that there has to basically that description, to see it is to believe it. So maybe people want to see a physical occurrences, whatever, but eventually there's all kind of information out there that shares of descriptions from Hopi perspectives or prophecies about like the blue star sighting, or when different prophecies were actually fulfilled in a lot of the earlier times. So we just have to wait for these certain descriptions in the sky or on the earth again. But like I shared with you earlier, our teachings as well is similar, with the understandings that our own human actions do have a recurrence action of what's happening all around us and throughout the world. So that understandings of all the climatic changes that have been occurring here in the Southwest, we talk about water is life, but with all the occurrences of flooding, tsunamis, water can take a life as well. And all the economic breakdowns maybe happening in some countries are already stirring up of that breakdown, and even of the common people rebelling against their own governments, and that is another sign that again basically we are back at the point of third world description again, corruption, chaos. And then yes, we are noticing all the natural catastrophes, all the weather patterns what are occurring, volcanic eruptions, floodings, earthquakes, tremors, tornadoes, hurricanes, everything is all evidently out there. Either Mother Earth's message is not fully understood, or our ears are not fully open to hear of her message.
So what do you think is the general message of Pahana?
I wouldn't have a very solid answer for that, but it's just all again, just starting with your individual self, or I guess that self change.
In what context?
Could be either of changing of your ways. Say you're, I don't know. It's an inclusive of a whole. Your physical body change, your spiritual change, views on life, on the earth, environment, even diet. I guess is another sense because a lot of people are going to the more organics, where maybe there's some irritations coming from pesticides, chemicals that are in different certain fruits or vegetables. But really, myself, I don't have a really solid answer for that. But it's just, I guess, that word of change and awareness, consciousness of yourself and who you are and your surroundings.
What about like recycling and
That that would be another way. Yes, changing. Even though, yeah, if we throw all our refuse and it's all going to a landfill, maybe if we had more of these recycling centers, yeah, I can take most of my plastic bottles to the plastic recyclers and then aluminum cans to the aluminum recycler. But yeah, that's another thing, and people are getting into that awareness of recycling. Yeah.
okay? What are some of the ways that we live out of balance with the earth?
It would be maybe taking of what we're not supposed to take, or not too. I mean, we're maybe taking more than we should. Maybe just that our teachings of understandings is when we take of clay from the earth, we give of offerings back, but paying homage and giving thanks that the earth, Mother Earth, is supplying items to the artisans. But as a herbalist or medicinal herbalist in that as well, yes, you do have to leave up offerings when you are taking some of the medicinal plants and herbs, giving again similar aspects of respect.
Is there a certain prayer or ceremony that any non-Indian can do to like pray to the earth for balance?
It's just in your own way of how you have been known to do your ways of prayer instilled in yourself. If you just do it in your own ways, there's no answer to the very true or right way to do it. We have various cultures and religions. We all have our different ways and prayers and names to the higher power, creator, but it's all in the same understandings of giving thanks of creation and life, and definitely giving us strength to continue on to move forward of who we are as humans. But no culture or religion is superior over the other. We are all equal, and we all emerged at the same place in the Grand Canyon. Hopi views is all human. We are all equal. We are all one, because we all came from one emergence place. We are all in this one boat on our life path leading to that end of the road that we have that has been laid out by the Creator. We all have our life path to follow. But yes, all the information, natural occurrences, human actions, economic breakdowns, natural weather patterns, is all accumulating to an understanding that yes, we are out of balance.
Do you think the cleansing is imminent?
It in the past it occurs, and we've gone through it. Our ancestors still talk about it, so I guess in a way there is a time that I guess cleansing will occur, at any cycles. So I guess with the end of certain cycles, purifications or that term of cleansing will occur. I'm not too sure of how soon, but it is an understanding that we have to go through. I don't know if it's not going to be our physical time, maybe our children's or our grandchildren's, even our great grandchildren's time, maybe. But the purification will be coming. But we don't have a specific understanding of the actual occurrence of it happening. But it is coming.